Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are doing well, being well, and staying safe. I wanted to come in again with a pretty straightforward video for you today. Sorry for my wet hair. I have attempted to begin the curly girl method, so if you know anything about curly girl, please be my friend. Let me know how to proceed because I'm new to this. But I wanted to come in here and share some advice, tools, kind of guidance that I've been noticing as a theme that I've had with a lot of people who've gotten on a phone call with me in the last couple weeks. So with the virus and all the lifestyle shifts that have come into our lives since the beginning of the virus, I've noticed a number of themes that kind of collide with each other that I think I could address directly in a video with you all to give you a little value for today and looking at your schedule. So creating a routine is such a valuable tool to lean on during this time. And I know that's not new advice. I'm sure it's absolutely everywhere on the internet at this point. That creating a solid routine is really powerful for your mental health. It's really powerful to like create normalization and kind of like some degree of certainty amidst all of this uncertainty. But I'm looking at it from a lens of getting your needs met in a different way. So a lot of the people that I've been speaking to are kind of waking up and addressing each day as it comes, which to a degree is a really wonderful practice, right? Like it's living in the moment. It's really being open to whatever shows up that day, kind of with an open heart and an open mind. And I don't think it's an either or though. I think there's an opportunity for us to live our lives day by day and not create all these expectations of what the new normal would look like. And I think there's also a degree of responsibility that we have to take care of ourselves and our mental health and the things that we're committed to in our lives. So the tool I wanted to offer to you today is kind of this two-parter that I've done with a number of people who've gotten on the phone with me and they've gotten a ton of value out of really doing it for themselves. So I really encourage you at various points throughout this video when I offer kind of parts of the tool to actually pause the video and write out the lists for yourself rather than just listen to the video and be like, that's a good idea, and then not do it. I don't know about you, but maybe there's a couple self-help books that you've read in your life where you're like, this is a really great concept, and then they say, do this exercise to apply it to your life, and you're like, and next chapter. So don't be that guy or that gal with this video. I definitely encourage you to actually apply it today, right now, for yourself. So diving in, the first part is before we start scheduling anything, looking at kind of a hierarchy of needs and or priorities. So from my perspective and from many people who are much more brilliant than I, who've written a lot of books on psychological and sociological studies, there is a certain priority order to what's going to actually sustain and meet our needs during these kinds of times, whether it's like in regular life or right now during the coronavirus. So I would encourage you to write this list down as I say it. So number 1, self-care. Number 2, professional purpose. Number 3, partnership and spouse connection. Number 4, family and parental commitments. And number 5, friends and social play. So if you've written that list down, I'm not going to be editing this video, so unfortunately there's no beautiful cue card going up right here for you. But if you look at this list, self-care, I think all of us on some level understand that self-care is the foundation of our entire lives. And if we are not taking care of ourselves, then everything that like comes from us, whether it's how we show up as a parent, how we show up as a spouse, how we show up at work, how we show up in friendships, like everything gets affected by that because you're tired, you're exhausted, you're ill, you're drained, you're on edge, like any and all of the above is going to bleed into all of those parts of your life. So obviously self-care being number 1 is kind of a given, but also one of those highly overlooked places for self-care or for like, you know, foundational well-being needs being met. And the rest of these are also ways that you get your well-being needs met. So it's not just self-care, but it's also the professional purpose. Are you living in alignment with like the mission you have on this planet? Are you furthering your professional purpose in some way or form right now, even during Corona? Same thing with partnership and spouse. Now, this kind of varies person to person depending on if you're in a committed relationship or not. If you're in a new relationship, I definitely think that that's part of well-being, and that like love and connection in that way is very, very special and needed. But it may fall at a different place in the list than where I'm looking, because spouse connection is a very, like, the person you're married to or the person that you have committed to long-term, if not for life, and you have a very special connection that is part of well-being. It is part of your heart and part of grounding and part of just a deep connection need that we all have. So that falls immediately after your professional purpose. And some people might actually argue with those two, like, shouldn't you have your spouse prioritized above your work? And there's a lot to be said for that, but when we look at our careers are not only supposed to be expressions of our life purpose, right? Like, the reason that we work is, number one, to live, like to generate money and stability and a sense of purpose and like expression of yourself in the world. So from my perspective and in this context, looking at career as an expression of yourself is where I'm really looking. It may not be in the minutia of getting work done, but are you living in alignment with your professional purpose is number two. And then number three is, are you fully connected to your spouse, getting out what you need to communicate, getting supported where you need support, love making, all of it's a human need. And then 4 and 5, I mean, depending on if you're a parent or if you're, a daughter or son to aging parents, it doesn't really matter. We have commitments to our family immediately after our commitment to our spouse. So that's caring for the children, that's, caring for your aging parents, that's caring for family members who, are close to you. And then finally, it's social play, right? Like, also a very fundamental basic need, and usually comes like in a healthy way in your life, tends to come after all of those other basic needs are met. So I say all of this to give you some context to think about what are the actual things on a day-to-day basis that meet your needs in that order. So if we're looking at self-care, a lot of us tend to stop at working out or eating healthy or, taking a walk outside, and all of those are beautiful, necessary pieces of self-care. But consider there's also edges to your emotional self-care, your spiritual self-care, your mental self-care that can get overlooked, especially like if we were not in the coronavirus time, thinking about a normal work day. Are you really consciously always committed to showing up for your spiritual well-being? Maybe, maybe not. Same thing for your mental and emotional health, or mental and emotional well-being, really. It's not even just like basic health. It's like, how can you actually elevate and support this need of yours? So I encourage you to look at this list of 5 areas of your life and write out all of the things that in a day give you what you need in all of these areas. So in self-care, we're looking at holistic perspective. In professional purpose, like if you were to devote an hour a day to your professional growth, if you're not working right now, or if you're working, obviously the second piece would be showing up to work so that you keep getting paid and so that you keep your job. And then, spouse and parental or family duties or commitments and friends and social play. So write out a whole list of all the things in a day that would sustain you. It can look like prayer and journaling. It could look like meditation for 5 minutes, or peace and quiet for 5 minutes, stillness. It can look like an outside walk and look like workouts. It can look like, following a nutrition plan that works for you. It can look like snuggling, with your spouse or with your dog or with your children. It can look like really anything. It can look like a phone call or a Zoom call to someone that you love. It can look like showing up to work. It can look like, you know, a weekly or a bi-weekly or maybe every single night having a friend call, like a game night or something like that. But if you were to get all of your needs met that you just looked at on this list of 5 things in a day, what would that actually look like? And have a bullet point list of all the things that you would do or have in a day. And then the reason I gave you this list of the 5 things in the order that I did is because oftentimes once we get this list of all of the things that we need that are going to support us and then try to apply it to our schedule, we'll start with work hours or parental commitments or something else that like derails our primary commitment, which is self-care, and all of the other pieces that come into play. So if I were to challenge you to look at all the things that you wrote down, to look at this 5-part list that I shared with you, then look at the list that you generated of all the things that are the things you would be really fulfilled by in your day for your well-being and meet all of your needs. And then how to translate that into a schedule for yourself. I would challenge you to schedule your self-care needs first. So first thing in the morning, what are the things that are going to start your day or end your day? If we're looking at kind of the bookend of your day, or maybe there's some, I don't know, maybe you are an afternoon napper and that's like a really, really powerful well-being practice for you. If you get an hour a nap a day, it changes your whole evening. So whatever it is, schedule the self stuff first. I know this will challenge you as parents. I know this will challenge you as career-motivated women and men in this world. And I'm going to stand for it, that you actually look at, knowing that you have other commitments to schedule in the day, where would you schedule your self-care first? Then schedule in your work hours or the time that you would show up for professional purpose. And then schedule in time with your partner. Because if you're in this whole Corona thing as a parent, I'm sure that you are very well aware of how much time you are now spending with children, and maybe in homeschooling or at least in some sort of structured playtime that wasn't there before we entered this moment in history. So if you're not consciously scheduling time with your partner, oftentimes you'll probably end up co-parenting on a different page or kind of snapping at each other because you guys haven't spent enough time connecting or really communicating. So remember that that need comes before. That is so crucial to how you show up as parents or people in the world, that you are connecting with the people that you love romantically. And then same thing with parents commitments or family commitments. Sometimes people can put that and work before self and spouse. And that's where a lot of imbalance will come out in your life. So once you've scheduled in self-care, professional purpose, and your time for partnership and really your connection time with your spouse, then schedule in your commitments for your kids. Whether that's school time, whether that's play time, whether that's nap time, like really look at how you can align that to all of those other needs that come. It's not necessarily a before and after list. Like, I know that it's tough to kind of wrap your brain around how it's not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 list that's, you know, written in stone. But I hope you're clear that all of these other needs that came before how you parent or how you show up with family influence how you show up with family and kids. So it's important that those get attention as much, or if not a little bit more conscious effort than just scheduling in kids first thing and then trying to work in your self-care or all these other things around it. It's just a perspective to look from. And then finally, social play. It's a very important thing that we get now that we're all, you know, basically living and working and socializing from home, that you actually take some time to connect with people, if not on a daily basis, then on a semi-daily basis, whether it's every other day or every few days. I know there's a lot of introverts out there, but yeah, connecting with friends who care about you is a really important part of life and a part of basic human needs. So I hope that gives you something to look at with your schedule, because it may be easier said than done talking about these priorities and this list of well-being needs, and then, you know, in theory, applying these to your schedule. But I really, really challenge you to try it, because in every circumstance that I have done this exercise with someone on a call these past couple of weeks who I don't normally work with, and they just asked for some support during this time, it has made a massive difference for them to actually look at scheduling things in this order for themselves and really getting clear about what they need to support them holistically in their lives. So I wanted to come in and share that tool with you and that kind of perspective to look at in terms of creating a healthy routine for you, and one that grounds you and supports you and gets all your needs met. So thank you for watching. I hope you hit that subscribe button. And if you're new here, welcome to my channel. I'm so grateful to see you all. We are so close to 200 subscribers. Woohoo! And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. If you have any suggestions or feedback or questions, I'd absolutely love to support you and engage with you in the comments. So check you out in the comments below. Again, I'll include connection information for me if you wanted to book a call with me, just, you know, to get supported and maybe do this exercise together or look at something else. I'm completely an open door. So have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you again in my next video. Bye.